Misogyny.
Misogyny?
Misogyny.
They say it's in the first 15 seconds that a YouTube user's attention is either caught or lost. Hopefully that little performance caught yours. If you're still watching now, then chances are it has. Anyway, today I'm going to be talking, as the ominous title suggests, about the future of us, or if things go how I foresee that they might go, there might not be a future of us. Simply being, two pieces of news caught my attention this morning, and that is the race to build the world's first sex robots, or whatever the hell the title was. Yes, the race to build the world's first sex robots. A little article in The Guardian, and then another article, artificial wombs are only 3 years away. How scared should women be? And I'm sorry, but this is the bed you've made, and you're going to have to goddamn lie in it at the end of the day. Because if you're going to keep pushing men away and branding all men as rapists and saying that anytime drunk sex occurs that the man has raped the woman, or claiming that all PIV, penis into vagina, sex is rape, then I'm sorry, what do you think is going to happen? Men are going to be less interested in sex, and shit like this is going to start happening. And, well, shit like this is now happening. We're already seeing this phenomenon happening in Japan. Men giving up on women and turning into porn and sex robots, but theirs is happening for a different reason. But that's where we're going to go soon enough. So if we want to have that huge generational problem where, oh shit, we're not having kids anymore and now we're going to die as a nation, then hey, well, keep going, keep telling men that they're all fucking rapists. But irrespective, let's start working our way through this article. So the race to build the world's first sex robot. No, I'm not going to worry too much about the ins and outs of this article, about how Harmony, this sex robot, can smile, blink and frown. She can hold a conversation, tell jokes and quote Shakespeare. Honestly, if I'm fucking a bitch, I don't want her to be quoting Shakespeare. But hey ho, apparently that's a thing. But about making these sex dolls realistic, which I think is quite an interesting idea. Because what it shows is that men haven't given up on women as an idea, the men are giving up on these women for different purposes, and the severity of their giving up. That's what caught my attention in this first article. A small-scale 2016 study by the University of Duisburg-Essen, I hope I pronounced that correctly, they found more than 40% of the 263 heterosexual men surveyed. They said they could imagine buying a sex robot for themselves now or in the next 5 years. Men, in what they described as fulfilling relationships, were no less likely than single or lonely women to express an interest in owning a sex robot. So even men in happy relationships and men not in happy relationships, they both seem to have high interest, or interest of some sort, in purchasing these sex robots. It's almost like as if all the bonuses of having a sex robot, that is, the sex, seem to be able to come along without all the negatives of the woman, that is, all the whinging and the nagging and the very human things that come along, the very human things that make a relationship. You know, the personal hygiene and the personal needs and desires and the complementary behaviours you're having to, and all the compromises that you have to make. It's like all these things don't matter anymore when it comes to these sex robots. It's almost like as if having a relationship but not needing a woman is a preferable option. And feminists and feminism as a movement, and also women, should be quite terrified. Especially when we look at this next article, and this will then feed into my larger argument. The next article is from the New Statesman, so I don't expect much of any value. It's by some dumb bitch called Gloss Witch. Nice and rhyming. Yeah, she's some feminist harridan who, according to her cute little bio at the bottom, if I can freaking get to it, she is a feminist mother of 3 who works in publishing. Well, good for you, but you're still an idiot. So, artificial wombs only 3 years away. How scared should women be? Some men's rights activists hope that technology will make women obsolete. I disagree with that sentiment. It's not that men's rights activists hope that it will make women obsolete. It's that it will make women obsolete, and we don't actually want that, but that's the options we're being left with. Especially when it comes to, or when we realise the fact that if we settle down, we're going to have kids with you, you're going to take those kids, you're going to take our house, you're going to take at least half our income, all of our savings, probably the car as well. We're going to spend the rest of our lives sitting in a fucking box, having to fight for 15 years to see our kids again. There's also the fact that if we are to have encounters with you, sexual encounters, you could very easily, you know, falsely accuse us of rape, as was seen in my previous video. Although, full disclosure, or full honesty, as I should really say, that circumstance, the woman did not want to be accusing her accused. So, you know, men don't want to make you obsolete, women. It's just we're being left with no fucking option. And it's not like we're hating women as a class. It's feminism that's doing this. But let's work our way through this article. Jack Barnes has a few good things to say, or there's a few of his quotes I've taken which are really good, which is, no one group should have as much power over reproduction as women have. And that's a very interesting philosophy, because when it comes to reproduction, women do have all the power. And I'm not going to talk about biology just yet. I'm going to talk about in today's modern social terms. When it comes to reproduction, it's all the woman's choice. The only influence that a man can have in having sex with a woman is in reproducing with a woman is the sex bit or before the sex. He can either wear a condom and hope to God it doesn't break, or believe her if she says she's on the pill, or just not have sex with her. That's pretty much his options. Or sterilisation. He can get the snip or something. Those are good options, considering then everything else is in her part. She's got a wide choice of variants of the pill, as I've discussed in an article on my site. There's so fucking many. She's also got other forms of contraception, such as the diaphragm, the coil, different forms of implant. There's also the fact that, you know, she has her own ovulation cycle, which works to her advantage. She can also be given abortions. She can put her kids up for adoption. In the US, you've got those baby Moses laws. There's a lot in her court. And there's also the social stigma, because, you know, there is none for women. If a woman wants to give up her kids, or doesn't want kids, or has her kid killed, abortion, then she is just an empowered woman who is pro-choice and making her own decisions. It doesn't matter about the kid. The kid's wishes or welfare just doesn't matter. But a dad, as soon as a dad even implies any inkling, well, he's a deadbeat dad. You know, as we saw with all of these, is it over in Norway or the Netherlands, where they're thinking of doing, no, Sweden, that's it, where they're thinking of doing male-friendly abortion, which is where dads can sign away their paternal rights and just walk away and be gone. And feminists went fucking batshit insane over this. Like, how dare men have the same ability to walk away from pregnancy as women do? You know, are you going to leave a woman with this burden? It's not really much of a burden. She can choose to kill it off, or choose to give it up, or has all these other options available to her. But anyway, irrespective, doesn't matter. I guess it's just not fair if men get same equal choices. But now let's actually get to the biological aspect, which for me is the strongest aspect in this whole situation of artificial wombs and sex robots. Because the quote in this article from New Statesman, that whatever the woman Gloss Witch says about, is when she's quoting Shulamith Firestone from her book The Dialect of Sex, or poem, whatever the fuck it is, where she called for the freeing of women from the tyranny of their biology by any means available, and the diffusion of the childbearing and childbearing or child-rearing role to the society as a whole. Then again, neither feminism nor patriarchy have ever been quite sure whether women's capacity to give birth makes us overvalued or totally useless. And I'll tell you why, Glosswitch, that you can't seem to get a straight answer from feminism or patriarchy. It's because both ideas are complete fucking bollocks. So I'm going to answer your question about, you know, does the capacity for women to give birth make them overvalued or totally useless? It makes them fucking overvalued like you would not believe. The survival of a species rests on its ability to reproduce, and women are the reproductive core of our society. Really, the only input that you need for reproduction from a bloke is just him to fuck a girl. Well, not a girl, fuck a woman. A sexually mature woman, so that she can reproduce. That's literally his only necessary input. The rest is just beneficial. You know, him staying around and being a father, resource provision, etc., etc. That isn't actually 100% necessary. Whilst it does impact the child if he's not there, It's not actually 100% necessary for the reproductive cycle. All that is needed is for him to just deposit his semen. Whereas the rest of it, the gestation, especially how long it takes for us to gestate children, or for you to gestate children, I should really say 9 months. And then there's also the fact that our young, we as a species, we take so goddamn long to physically mature, to grow into adulthood, and to be able to start reproducing and having children of our own. If you compare that length of time it takes to our lifespan, it's a massive chunk. Unbelievably so. It's unprecedented in comparison to our nearest relatives or to even other organisms. You take other animals such as, I don't know, horses. Look at horses, right? As soon as a horse is born, it comes straight and it's walking and running around on its first fucking day. Because when they're born essentially fully developed, ready to go out and face life. Our babies, they're still mush. You know, when they're born, if you've ever looked at a baby when it's born, sometimes the bones in its skull aren't fully fused, and you can look through it and see its goddamn brain. Anyway, I'm not going to go too heavily into the biology and why that happens. If anybody wants a little guide in which direction to start looking, just think big brains. That's all I'm going to say as a clue of which way to start looking if you want to research that. But no, the fact that women can gestate young, can develop them and birth them, and then raise them, puts so much value on the woman. It is unbelievable. And every organism, every clan, every group has survived based on its ability to protect its women. Because if you do not, as a group, if you do not protect your women, you die. That's it. There's no question. Why do you think women were constantly taken as prizes in war? Because the women were the most valuable. We didn't care about taking them in. All they're good for is to work. You didn't get anyone to do that. But taking the women as livestock for reproduction, great. It's great for genetic diversity. It's great for the future generation. And that's not to say taking women as your concubines and forcing them into raising young. That's not what I'm arguing. But what I'm saying is that happened because of the value of women. And I'm also saying that the value of being able to raise a child is what's so great. And this is what's being lost. This is why feminists are a bit concerned, to say the very least, about the advent of sex robots and artificial wombs. Because on the one hand, feminist theory has been rambling on for centuries saying that motherhood is a burden and pregnancy is destructive and hateful, a tool of the patriarchy, and is used to subjugate women and keep them in the home. But then at the same time, the feminists are realizing if that's taken away from them, they lose all their value. You do not understand how much value it gives you, the fact that you can raise young. Because as a male, my only contribution to the group is my work. Now that's not a physical specialization per se. Sure, the male body is better geared for hard work, has more muscle mass, it's better for going out foraging and doing outside tasks, that's why you have better spatial reasoning and better 3D reasoning. That's why we're more risk prone than you, because we are designed for it. But at the end of the day, you can get any old Tom, Dick and Harry to do it. Whereas reproduction, carrying young, that's a big task. Take this little thought experiment. You've got two clans. Both of them have 100 people in them. One of them has 1 male and 99 females. The other one has 1 female and 99 males. You leave them a couple of generations. Which clan do you think will be thriving the most? Which one do you think has the highest odds of survival? If you're not a total fucking moron, you would know that it's the one with the 1 bloke and the 99 females, because they can reproduce a whole lot more. Whereas the one of the 99 females, 99 males even, and the 1 female, that's just going to be gone. Because you've also got to factor in issues such as, child rearing, child mortality, what if the female dies during childbirth, infection, illness, etc., etc. These things happen, and the female could die off. And if she does die off, that's it. That clan's over. Well, it's good fucking luck having all of these women. The same is true as also for the bloke. But if he was to then bang all those 99 women in one night, I mean, fair play on him if he can do it. But let's just hypothetically, if he could, well, that's it. He could then die the next day. Sure, pregnancy will be a tough son of a bitch for those women. Sure, most of them will suffer. But once that next generation comes out, Yeah, they won't be able to reproduce for ages afterwards. You know, they'd have to wait till they're young, grow up. But so long as they, you know, look after their young, say what? Say, let's say, 90 of them carry young. No, let's push down. Let's say 80 of them carry young. Half of them are males. That's 40 males. So in 20 years' time, you've got 40 men who can carry on reproducing. So long as you don't face any threats, such as, you know, predators or rival groups, you know, that clan will survive. Anyway, the reason I bring up that thought experiment is because of the value of women. Because of reproduction. When it comes to us as a species, as an organism, women are the queens and men are the drones. That's how we've evolved to be. You can call this whatever you want. You can call this traditional gender roles. You can call this patriarchy or stereotyping or sex determinism, whatever phrase you want to give it. It's a fact. It happens. That's how we've evolved to be. That's why men happen to be bigger and stronger. That's why women are much more empathic and in tune with their emotions, because they had to learn to socialise when they're back in the group with the other women. I mean, this is 50,000 years plus of evolutionary psychology and evolutionary biology. I mean, you could go back even further and say, oh, I'm giving too much away of the whole big heads thing, but and the big brains. But when we started becoming bipedal, at the end of Australopithecines and beginning of genus Homo, when we started standing up for the first time, that's when it really started kicking into hyperdrive. And if you want to combat against sex determinism and gender roles and whatever you want to call it, well, good fucking luck. You are standing up against the entirety of the history of genus Homo. And I'm sorry, feminism, but you're going to lose. You can yell all you want and scream that artificial wombs and sex robots are bad, but if you're going to make men think that keeping you around is a danger, but they still need to reproduce, they're going to replace you. And they're not doing it out of malice. They're doing it out of necessity. Anyway, that's going to be my dystopian video of the day. I hope I've not offended too many people. If I have offended too many people, I'm glad. And hopefully this has been food for thought. I don't know, who knows? Oh god, my shirt's a fucking mess. Look at that, Jesus. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next video. And what's my catchphrase again? I forgot. Oh yeah, that's fine. Toodle pip.